What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks bringing you some more Go Battle League battles here in the Great League, and in today's video I'm going to be running a team that is everywhere in the meta. I know that it has been showcased by a couple of different content creators. I actually first saw this team watching Tho Technical's live stream on Twitch, running Greninja, Shadow Dusclops, and Clodsire. Now if you don't have a Shadow Dusclops, normal Dusclops works totally fine, but Greninja in the lead is so fast and spammy and able to throw out these really strong charge moves. Clodsire, very bulky, so you hardly ever need to shield. And Dusclops is a fairly safe pivot Pokemon. I had lots of positive sets with this team, and so we're going to dive into these battles and kind of showcase how awesome this team is. Please let me know down in the comments what teams you are enjoying running in Great League, and let's jump right into these battles here. I believe at the time of recording this video, I was in about like the 2400 rating range. So a Shadow Dragonite in the lead. I know that with Dusclops here, I will outpace the Dragonite. I build up to an Ice Punch, but then I bait the Shadow Punch. They are farming up a lot of energy. They try to catch on their Lapras. Potentially trying to catch an Ice Punch there, but I do go for the Shadow Punch, able to hit for a lot of neutral damage here. I'm constantly over farming to try to confuse my opponent on where my energy is at, and this allows me to get to another Shadow Punch, which is really good for me. They are continuing to farm, but now I win the secondary matchup. I'm up a shield, and it looks like they just want more energy for their Dragonite here. Not able to get to a charge move. This Dragonite has so much energy. I'm going to kind of safely absorb it on my Clodsire here. But they actually are running Hurricane, and they go for the heavy hitting Hurricane on my Clodsire. Not great, but out comes Jellicent. Greninja is a very solid response to this Jellicent. However, two Shadow Balls are threatening from this Jellicent because of how frail Greninja is. But I am up a shield. I want to leave this matchup with some stored energy. And I severely outpace the Jellicent, and at this point they know that the game is over because Greninja's gonna go to town at the end game here. Greninja into Jellicent, very favorable. And out comes a Jumpluff. Now my Clodsire is running Stone Edge and Earthquake. There is a case to be made that you could run Sludge Bomb instead of Stone Edge. It gives you a little bit faster pacing and you're able to hit for super effective damage against the grass types. But luckily Stone Edge here is able to hit for super effective damage against the Jumpluff. And even going for the big acrobatics move, Clodsire can tank that no problem. And typically, I like to try to save the shields for Greninja or Dusclops, depending on which is going to feel like it's going to have the most play. They did lead the Jellicent though, and so I would like to maintain switch advantage. Able to maintain switch, and I farm down the Jumpluff. Out comes this Jellicent again. And there's a case to be made. I could make an aggressive swap out there to try to preserve this Clodsire, but I'm able to get to two charge moves here. I know that Greninja can handle this Jellicent no problem. And they end up having a Venusaur in the back. So this is where having some neutral damage of Night Slash is really nice here. Able to chip that Venusaur, and now all I need to do is get to a Shadow Punch. Frenzy Plant is going to hit for a lot of damage there, so I will shield up one of those. And my Greninja is healthy enough where it can handle any charge move from the Jellicent. I go immediately for another Shadow Punch. This is a little bit less energy than the Ice Punch. Out comes the Jellicent once again. And no matter what, we're going to be able to take this game. We maintained the alignment. Even if you have a favorable lead, it's so important that if that is a very solid hard RPS win, you maintain the alignment throughout the match. Okay, Golisopod, is this Golisopod running Fury Cutter? They are, so I need to get out of there. Go right into my Dusclops, and they respond with a Shadow Feraligatr. All this Shadow, actually a normal Feraligatr, so this is slightly less threatening to my Dusclops here. I'm going to let this go through. figuring that I survive it and I'm able to reach another Shadow Punch. And they actually just give me switch advantage. Out comes the Golisopod once again. This is going to be a little bit awkward though. I am able to get a little bit of chip damage with this Shadow Punch. The Aqua Jet is going to hit for super effective damage on my Clodsire here. But the Fury Cutter is resisted. You can see 2 Aqua Jets are going to be lethal on this Clodsire. I do have to shield up one of these. The Fury Cutters would really chunk away at my Greninja here, so I just need to kind of maintain this alignment right now. Going for the Stone Edge, again, if I had Sludge Bomb, my pacing would be a little bit faster here. But these Poison Stings are really adding up. I will shield this, and now I'm hoping that my Greninja has play against whatever they have in the back. They are not able to get to another move. I have a lot of energy stored. It's a Dedenne, and my Greninja really had nowhere to go here. Clodsire is putting in all the heavy lifting. I'm going to be able to get to an Earthquake to take out this Dedenne, and the Parabolic Charge would be resisted. The Play Rough would be resisted. I'd be able to survive any of that. So Clodsire putting in all the work in that matchup for sure. Okay, Dedenne in the lead. Not ideal. But I go into the Dusclops, and they're opting to still stay in here, so I'm just going to put on the pressure and throw immediately with the Shadow Punch. I do get a shield. These Parabolic Charges are really going to add up over the time. And each time it boosts the defense. They allow me to get a whole Hex through there, which is good. But I really need to start chipping down this Dedenne. It's going to turn into an absolute menace. And the game forces me to overtap there. I got a little bit of lag there where my game stuttered and then caught back up and made me do another fast move. I did not want to throw that Hex. I wanted to throw the Shadow Punch immediately to put pressure on the Dedenne. So unfortunately my Dusclops goes down in that scenario. I did not want to spend my last shield, but I do have Greninja aligned to the Jellicent here. You can see how much damage that Shadow Ball did. Shadow Ball plus Surf plus all the Hex damage is looking like it's going to be very close to lethal on Greninja. And the Surf is just enough to knock me out there. I thought I would barely survive, so a misplay on my part. I needed to shield that up, and then I could have potentially overfarmed to threaten the Dedenne. In the back is a Gligar, and this is really not looking good for us. I'm going to go straight for the Stone Edge here. This is where running Stone Edge on Clodsire is very nice against the Flyers, because otherwise you would be pretty hard walled against this Gligar. 2 Stone Edges on a Shadow Gligar is enough to knock it out. I do shield up one of the digs, but they have no reason to be baiting because they'll easily be able to get to 2 moves. Dig does a lot of damage, and I'm just not going to have enough energy to knock out the Dedenne and take out this Gligar. My opponent is able to win the game there. Good game. If the game had not forced me to throw that extra Hex in the secondary matchup, it would have put me in a better scenario there. Okay, Quagsire in the lead here. It only takes 9 turns to get to a Hydro Cannon on Greninja. So fast. The Stone Edge from Quagsire would hit for a lot of damage. Most Quagsires are running Aqua Tail and Stone Edge. They bait me, which puts them ahead on energy now, but I'm still just going straight for the Hydro Cannons here. 1 Hydro is not enough to knock out Quagsire, especially if it's a non-Shadow Quag. I will shield this up again, and it is the Stone Edge. And out comes a Primeape. I should have thrown some energy before swapping out there, because now this Primeape is going to be very scary to deal with. The Rage Fist does hit for super effective damage. It only takes 4 Karate Chops to get to a Rage Fist. Primeape is so fast. Thank goodness my opponent lets that go through, and they lose track of my energy here, allowing me to get to another move, and I draw the last shield. So misplay from my opponent definitely helps me out in this matchup. The Rage Fist knocks me out, but this Primeape is still a menace, and if they're running Ice Punch, this is going to hit for a lot of damage. Luckily, they are running close combat, but in the back is a Bombardier. I think I pronounced that correctly. The Stone Edge, again, coming in clutch here against the Flyers. I'm just going to stay in, force them to throw energy. And then my Greninja should be able to clean up everything in the back. Farming this thing down, I have plenty of energy. And what do they want to bring out here? They still have the Primeape, but it is in range of one Night Slash knocking it out, and I have another Night Slash banked because I overfarmed on energy. Should be able to take out the Quagsire here. And take that game. Good game. Greninja really coming in clutch at the end there. Azumarill in the lead. Really, really bad because Play Rough would hit for super effective damage. So I actually build up to a Hydro Cannon and then swap out. One thing I like to do with very glassy Pokemon, especially when I'm running them in the lead, is if I'm not taking super effective damage from the fast moves of the Pokemon in that first matchup, I like to stay in and kind of bank a move. Because when shields get down and you know that you'll win a CMP tie, you can go for some aggressive swaps and really have some fun, exciting plays towards the end of the match. My opponent responds to my Dusclops with a Sableye here, and this is where banking the energy on my Greninja comes in so clutch here. I'm able to save my Dusclops, I'm up a shield, out comes the Azumarill again, and the Play Rough is going to be lethal on this Greninja, but I can continue to chip this down. I actually end up shielding right here because I want to potentially be able to stall out the switch clock. But this ended up being a CMP tie on this Play Rough. My switch clock was not up in time, and I'm going to lose the Greninja, so arguably a wasted shield on my part. But now I'm able to get a jump start on energy with my Clodsire. And in the back is a Credilli. Bad timing on my part. They are running Bullet Seed, so their energy generation is pretty fast here. Now they should be in range where one Stone Edge is going to knock out. The Rock Tomb would be resisted here, so they do go for the Grass Knot. And I farm up as much as I can before they get to another Grass Knot. They still have their Azumarill. And I swap into my Dusclops to either catch a move or just put on a lot of pressure, but I'm so quick to get to these Shadow Punches. We are able to knock out the Azumarill and take the game there. Good game. Greninja into Shadow Typhlosion. Very favorable because our fast move is hitting for super effective damage, but they're opting to stay in. I'm going to go for a Night Slash bait here. Because honestly, after one Night Slash lands, these Water Shurikens are really going to add up. Thunder Punch would hit for a lot of damage, so I will shield this up. And out comes a Gastrodon. We don't have a hard counter to this, but shields down, Clodsire can easily hang with that Typhlosion. I bank a Night Slash and catch a double resisted Body Slam, which is very favorable for me. This Gastrodon has to land an Earth Power to do substantial damage, but down goes the Gastrodon. Typhlosion comes in once again, and I'm hoping that this is a Thunder Punch. It is, and I survive it. Able to throw one Hex and then throw the Shadow Punch before that Incinerate damage registers. Down goes the Typhlosion, and in the back is a Chestnut. I'm going to go straight for the Ice Punch here. This is where having Stone Edge and Earthquake kind of hurts the Clodsire, but my opponent assumed that I was running Sludge Bomb, and either way, we were still going to be okay in that endgame matchup. It was just going to be way more awkward without the super effective Sludge Bomb. So Greninja is looking like a core breaker against my opponent's team right now. They led with a Drifblim, and then they come in with a Lapras. Now, Dusclops outpaces the Drifblim to the charge moves, so I know in the end game I'm going to be okay as long as the Drifblim doesn't get a huge energy advantage. I was wondering if they're running Skull Bash, and they are. I correctly shielded up. I'm farming up extra energy here. I'm at back-to-back Night Slashes. My Greninja is still so healthy. and I got a boost, but I figured there's no way this could be another Skull Bash, so I let it go through. Out comes a Primeape. I do throw some energy here, and I go into my Clodsire. This is a safer response into the Primeape compared to the Dusclops. Most non-Shadow Primeapes seem to be running Rage Fist and Close Combat, but let's see if this person is running Ice Punch. They're continuing to go for the Rage Fist. I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake. I want to have residual energy so I could threaten the Drifblim with the Stone Edge, but they do end up shielding their Primeape. This is getting very awkward for my Clodsire here. Have to shield this up, and then I'm hoping I can outpace. I waited a turn there to ensure that they don't catch this Earthquake on their Drifblim. I want to go immediately into my Dusclops here, and I was going to be able to farm down the Lapras and knock out that Drifblim anyway, so we're able to take that game. Okay, Primeape in the lead, not great. I'm going to go into my safe swap, and out comes Galarian Moltres. They are heading for super effective damage with that Sucker Punch, but Ice Punch in return does a substantial amount of damage as well. If I shield once here, I feel like I can get my shield back. There is a case to be made. I should be baiting on this charge move right here because they're always going to shield. But I was going to be able to get to a last second Ice Punch. Now this is looking like a really nice farm for my Greninja, but they hard pivot back into their Primeape. Smart move because they recognized if my Greninja has an energy advantage, Primeape is no longer going to be a counter to it. The really scary thing is if they have another response to my Greninja in the back. They do go for the close combat. I'm just going to go straight for the Earthquake to try to knock this thing out and see what they want to do. But they end up keeping the Primeape alive. At this point, I feel like I can survive a Rage Fist. Gonna swap into my Greninja. These Karate Chops are doing a lot of damage. I have to shield up whatever this is and hope that my Greninja can sweep whatever they have in the back. They still have that Galarian Moltres that is pretty low health. Down goes the Primeape, and in the back is a Dunsparce. Unfortunately, they do make a really nice catch here. This catch actually wins them the game, because if I did not throw my energy there, I would have been able to really heavily overfarm on that Galarian Moltres and have tons of energy to threaten the Dunsparce. So amazing play from my opponent there. Good game. Steelix, but it's probably running Thunderfang in the lead, so this is pretty awkward. I'm just going to do a Night Slash bait here and then probably swap out. And they end up calling the Night Slash bait. I could not believe it. If that would have been a Hydro Cannon, it would have done massive damage. But I'm going to let all of that energy go through from the Psychic Fangs. Out comes Azumarill. This is a neutral matchup for my Dusclops here, but since my defense has been dropped, this is way more awkward to deal with now. This Azumarill is farming up a lot of energy, but you can see Dusclops is putting in a good amount of work on this Azu. Going to let it go. The bubble is resisted on Greninja, and so it's really not the fast moves I have to worry about. That's why I bring in my Greninja here. I will commit a shield, and I need energy to be able to threaten that Steelix if they hard pivot back into it. But they are continuing to farm here. I'm going to need 2 Hydro Cannons still to knock out this Azu. Really awkward. And that's actually looking like it's right in Night Slash range, so I will throw a Night Slash here on the CMP tie. They end up shielding. I will shield in return and try to farm up as much energy as I can here. Out comes an Annihilate. This is not good at all. I'm going to go straight for the Hydro, and then I can swap. They end up letting that go through. And this is just a very uncomfortable scenario for me. They're probably going to be able to get to 2 Ice Punches here. They still have a very healthy Steelix. They still have the Azumarill. It's not looking great for us. This Ice Punch is going to put me deep into the red. But I'm going to go for the Stone Edge here, try to take out this Annihilate, and then hope that my Greninja can reach a move against something. They bring in their Azumarill. I'm able to get to this Hydro Cannon, but is this enough to knock out the Steelix? It is. Out comes the Azumarill. The bubble damage is really adding up. Can I Poison Sting down this Azu before they take me out? And we barely win the game. That game was so close. Good game. Greninja into Drifblim. Very favorable lead here. This is another extremely common core that I've been seeing in the Great League here is Drifblim and then Shadow Drapion safe swap. Typically in the back, it's like a Diggersby or some sort of ground type. But it looks like Greninja is going to be a core breaker for my opponent's team once again. I get both shields. And so I will continue to shield this up. They're going for the heavy hitting move of Crunch, and it is a Diggersby, so Greninja having so much play here is really, really nice. Able to just completely get rid of this Diggersby here. If the Drapion comes back in, it only takes him 4 Poison Stings to reach an Aqua Tail, which is pretty scary. I am able to get to this Hydro Cannon. The Drapion's going to go down, and then I need to instantly go into my Dusclops to ensure that I can reach a Shadow Punch before they throw a Shadow Ball, which would knock me out. We still have all 3 Pokemon remaining, and a very dominant win there. Greninja was my opponent's worst nightmare there. Okay, another Drifblim lead, and this person safe swaps a Gastrodon, which seems extremely risky because Gastrodon can get hard punished by several things in the meta. It just doesn't have the best coverage moves. But I'm able to align my Dusclops with the Gastrodon with the thought that I could potentially have some energy leaving this matchup to threaten the Drifblim. But no, they are able to farm me down, and now they have an energy advantage against my Greninja, which is a little bit scary. They end up swapping into Primeape. My switch clock is not up yet, so I need to stall the clock with this Hydro and get a shield. It's a Shadow Primeape as well, which means they could be running Ice Punch. I let the first one go through, assuming that they would bait me with Rage Fist, but they went straight for the Ice Punch. Nice play. Now I have to start shielding everything, and they can just go straight for the baits. But our switch clocks are misaligned here, which makes things extremely uncomfortable. I could have baited the Stone Edge there. Out comes Drifblim again. And I will commit my final shield. They land the Icy Wind. I bank an Earthquake and then get out of there. I'm able to reach this Night Slash on the CMP tie here. I'm going to get farmed down by the Primeape, and I will lose the CMP tie, so I just hope that they don't have a move. But they do. Is it the Ice Punch? Yes, it is. Amazing plays from my opponent. Despite us having a very solid lead there, they played very well in the back end. Very favorable lead matchup here. They're staying in with the Talonflame, and then again my opponent safe swaps a Gastrodon. Ideally, I want to catch a Body Slam on my Dusclops, and that's exactly what happens this time around. This does virtually no damage to Dusclops and allows me to leave this matchup with some stored energy. The Talonflame did 1 Incinerate before leaving, so it will have an energy advantage. But out comes a Wigglytuff, and at this point, this is just a very solid RPS win for me if I can just keep the alignment. I can align my Clodsire to the Wigglytuff. I can continue to keep my Greninja aligned with the Talonflame. And, you know, you look at a game like this and you're like, oh, this should be an automatic win. And it absolutely should be if you can maintain appropriate alignment. So that's where, like, throwing a move with my Greninja in that secondary matchup helped solidify the alignment throughout the rest of the game. My opponent brings in a Typhlosion against my Greninja here. Greninja is just absolutely core breaking teams left and right. And they're farming up a lot. They're going to be able to get to 2 Thunder Punches, but I'm fine double shielding that. I'm going to commit my shields here. And I thought they were going to throw another Thunder Punch immediately, so that's why I tried to catch it on my Dusclops. It does not work out, and they do go for the Blast Burn. And then they bring out Jellicent, but I am able to get some chip damage with this Shadow Punch. This will put it in range where one Night Slash should be able to knock them out, and they are switch locked because they just swapped. Farming up a little bit extra here, and then I will go for the Night Slash, hoping that this is just enough to knock out this Jelly here. No, they barely survive, but I do get the boost, which is really nice. I'm going to try to capitalize on this and shield up the Surf, even though it's resisted. Out comes a Jumpluff. I am boosted, and so I kind of want to stay in here and rip off some Night Slashes before I end up going into my Clodsire. So I throw on bad timing there. I just want to guarantee that I can get this damage off. And now it's at a range where these Poison Stings are really going to be doing a lot of damage. I still have that Typhlosion I need to deal with, but it is very low. And I'm pretty much committing to the farm down on this Jumpluff. Acrobatics, we can easily tank that. Out comes the Typhlosion. Going to throw the Stone Edge to knock this out, and then I should be able to Poison Sting down the Jumpluff and take that game. Good game. Greninja core breaking that team all over the place. Another Talonflame lead. Very, very solid for us here. Out comes a Venusaur, and I'm slow to the response here. And again, this is where having Sludge Bomb would make this a little bit more comfortable because you could just go for double Sludge Bomb. But I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake. And they do end up shielding. I'm wondering if this is double Grass, and if that's the case, it's going to be very scary if I don't have switch advantage. I will shield up this Frenzy. I know I lose CMP, so I don't force CMP on this move. I will shield. If they end up trying to catch, I can just go for Stone Edge. And at this point, they do pivot back into their Talonflame. I wonder if they thought they caught a Earthquake, but the Stone Edge one-shots them, and in the back is their own Clodsire. So I'm going to store an Earthquake and then swap into my Dusclops here. Earthquake does do a lot of damage. The Poison Stings are resisted on my Ghost typing here. Going straight for the Ice Punch, and I still have that Venusaur I need to deal with. But again, I have that Earthquake stored on my Clodsire, but I know that I will lose the CMP tie against their Venusaur, and they're opting to save their shield for the Venusaur, but I'm able to get to a last second Thunder Punch here. This puts them in a very uncomfortable scenario. Out comes Venusaur once again. I'm going for the Shadow Punch here, even though I had Ice Punch as well. Could have gone for that, and then I'm going to try to combo play with my Clodsire. You saw me stop tapping there to make them throw a fast move so I could swap in the middle of that and then queue up my charge move to take the game there. So give this team a try if you want to climb in the Great League. Greninja is super fun to use. Huge shout out to Tho Technical, who I originally saw run this team. Hope you all have some good battles. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you appreciate the content, and I will see you in the next video.